I had several people ask about my hay preservative applicator. Thought I'd do a little video. I don't normally talk in my videos, but on this one I will. This is a John Deere 348 baler, and I got a tank up here by Cropcare. On the tank you can see a pump, a pressure regulator, and a gauge. And I basically routed the wiring out of the back of the pump, so you can see the wiring coming off of the pump and the hose going to the front of the tractor. Another thing I've got on this baler is Optronics DH2 moisture meter. It's a little hard to see the pads, but there's one on that side and one on this side. This baler has the multi-luber for the knotters. So I use the acid applicator. It's buffered propionic acid. The key is that it's buffered, and what that means is it won't rust your baler. It has a pH equivalent to water, and so when the moisture level gets up high, you know, above 18%, really for me 16 is kind of my threshold, then I'll bring it on. We've had this for a long time. I say long time, a couple years. We just never have used it. The switch for this applicator is right here. Just an on-off toggle switch with DC power coming from the tractor. And then this is the moisture meter. Right now, with an empty bale chamber, I'm reading 9.1. And then there's wires going back to the baler. The part I struggled with on this applicator was where to put the nozzles. And typically on a New Holland baler, you'll see them, you know, coming right off of the face of the New Holland. But they don't have this big auger in here. And what the John Deere auger does, which one of the things I like, is when hay goes in, it goes under the auger, and it'll kind of roll it up on the back side where that, a little hard to see there, the packer fork takes it on into the baler. And it makes for a nice tall full charge going into the bale chamber, and probably one of the reasons that John Deere makes a really, really nice square bale is you get a nice tall full charge. But what happens is sometimes that hay, if you look at some of the other videos on our channel, on our YouTube channel, you can see that hay kind of rolling off and sort of filling up this front area right here a little bit. So if I've got the nozzles pointing down here, I'm not sure how I get a complete coverage when and if that the throat of that baler fills up with hay. And I haven't had it happen to me, but people have told me that sometimes they'll have it fill up all the way across, especially with nice dry hay. So pondered that for a good while, how to do it. Some manufacturers will put them right up here where the packer fork is, in that opening, kind of pointing down into there. But again, if that whole area is jammed full of hay, you know, I'm not sure how you effectively treated it. To me, it's kind of like taking a wad of hay and pushing it right up against a water hose. So what I did is I routed the hose down around here to the front of the baler, and I've got two nozzles, and they're pointing essentially at the arc in the pickup. So as hay gets picked up, the nozzles, it kind of gets broken apart. The windrow kind of gets broken apart, and the nozzles are able to spray the acid over a lot of surface area, I feel. And so they're out of the way. And the other thing on this I don't really need 2 nozzles if I've got it mounted up in here. But the problem is, sometimes you got thick windrows and sometimes you got thin windrows, and so your tonnage changes throughout the field. And they have automatic applicators that at least sense the moisture levels and will adjust the amount of preservative that's applied. In my case, that's fixed, and the variable that I have, so that's fixed. So always I'll be putting the same amount of preservative on to some degree. But what I've done is I've divided the amount of preservative I need across these 2 nozzles, and the reason for that is I'm going to be applying preservative at the worst case level, but only half for each nozzle. So what that means is, as my tonnage goes up, let's say I hit a thick spot in the windrow or a thin spot, as that tonnage goes up, the windrow gets wider, the hay is distributed more across the face of that pickup. And by just the nature of it, more preservative is applied, because if I'm only putting hay in this side of the bale chamber, then I'm only putting, let's say total we're doing 4 tons per acre. So this one would be set for 2 tons and that one would be set for 2 tons. But if I'm only feeding this part of the baler, it may be that all I need is 2 tons per acre, even though I'm spraying 4. But I don't want to overdo it on the preservative, and the preservative that I don't need, and when I say I don't want to overdo it, the preservative can kind of turn the hay brown. So I just want enough preservative on there to keep it from becoming dusty and having mildew. And if it goes on the ground, so be it. It's a lot cheaper in my business scenario than buying a $7,000, $5,000, however many $1,000s automatic applicator that would adjust that. That could adjust that flow rate. And I don't even know if they do it based on tonnage. I think it's more fluctuates based on the amount of moisture. So I'm putting down the worst case across the face of the baler. So I've got a nice spray pattern across here, and part of the reason I put it here is because the stuff that don't go on the hay goes down through that pickup. It doesn't puddle up in the back of the throat of that there behind the auger. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on this sprayer and let you see what the spray pattern looks like, and then I'll kind of kick some hay up in there and you can see what it looks like as it goes on the hay. Okay, you can see the spray coming out, wetting the pickup. got it online from Paul B Zimmerman, and the buffer propionic acid I use is Harvestec. It's called Cropcare, and it's New Holland. New Holland sells it. John Deere has their version. AGCO has their version. CASEIH has theirs. It's all the same stuff. Just a different tag on the drum. So you can make one of these with a tank, a tractor supplied little ATV tank, a pump, a pressure gauge, some hoses, and some nozzles, and you're good to go. So that's how I did my setup for this particular baler, John Deere baler. New Holland, again, I might mount it to the face of the baler, but I felt like, for this one, this would probably be the best thing.